The most popular topics on whiskey YouTubes is always and has always been affordable bourbons. Everyone wants to know what rare gems you can find on the bottom shelf. Well, we're going to start to highlight some of these best value bourbons, and we're calling it the week's bottom shelf bourbon banger. So if you want to find out what this week's is, stick around.
All right, Wes, before we get started, we do have to thank our patrons.
Yes, we do.
They are what keep this podcast going.
Cheers to you, folks.
Cheers to you. And everyone's names that are on the screen right now are contributing at the top 3 levels. But we do have a budget for everyone. So if you want to learn how to support this channel, stick around to the end. We're going to talk more about that. Now let's get into some disclaimers.
Gotta have them.
I every time I write the disclaimers, I think this is going to satisfy all the trolls that want to get in the comments and tell us how stupid we are for liking this whiskey. Yeah. And somehow it never works. I still do it. So just keep in mind that every popular whiskey has a group of haters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Quite often, they had a bad drinking experience when they tried underage drinking for the first couple times, and then they hate that whiskey for time and eternity.
Or they're just haters.
And some of the time, they are individuals that think, this is my time to show everybody how superior I am to everyone else because I know this is bad. Even though more people drink this on planet Earth than anything else. I'm the only one that really knows the truth. And if you want to get on my level, just follow my opinion. And
you sound just like a hater.
Yeah, I know. I read a lot of their comments. So
that was perfect.
Yeah, you get into the mentality, I guess. Yeah. So we got to keep that in mind. But the whiskeys that we mentioned in the bottom shelf bangers are not meant to be like ultra complex. You know, they're not the George C. Staggs and the William Lou Wellers of the world. They're supposed to be pleasant drinkers that are available and affordable. So keep that in mind.
To coin Randy's famous phrase, it's the price to quality ratio, which is really where we find our bangers, right?
Right.
The price point's good, and for the price point, you're getting a really good tasting bourbon. And so that's what you're going to find on the bangers list.
Yes. So this week's bottom shelf banger.
Ooh, where are we starting?
Wild Turkey 101.
Ooh, yes.
Now, the reason why I decided to do this one first for this series is because recently we released a video entitled "The New King of Affordable Bourbon."
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we said bottom shelf
right.
in the description, but the actual title was Affordable Bourbon. And then we got in trouble for saying bottom shelf because they were like, some of the whiskeys you mentioned are not bottom shelf because they cost this amount of money.
You're never
blah, blah, blah.
Everyone.
And I'm like, okay, fine, I get it. They're bottom shelf to me. Look, okay. All right, fine. So we had Wild Turkey 101 on the table.
Sure.
And we did talk about it, but that portion of the video got cut out in post-production.
Sure did. That's my fault.
And no, it's fine. We don't have to talk about everything all the time. I'm long-winded.
And every episode,
which I've also been called out for lately. Someone was like,
can't please everyone.
Jesus, can these guys get to the point? And I'm like, no, I am long-winded AF. Like, what do you want me to do?
And it's our channel. We do what we want.
And it made me feel guilty that we cut everything out about Wild Turkey because Wild Turkey 101 was my number one.
Absolutely, it was.
And it has been supplanted by Benchmark. Yeah. But only marginally, and I still love Wild Turkey 101. Yeah. You'll notice, if you go back and watch that video, that my Wild Turkey bottle was a 175, and it was down to about here.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that this Wild Turkey bottle is also 175, and it's just been opened, and that's because I drank the rest of the other Wild Turkey.
It's a daily, when we say daily drinker, it's a daily drinker.
Yeah, we had some friends over, we were making cocktails. Wild Turkey 101 is great for that.
Yep.
So anyway, so some backstory. Otherwise, this video is going to be about 5 minutes long. Sure. Is Wild Turkey was started in the 1940s when an Austin Nichols executive brought some barrel samples on a turkey hunting trip.
Yeah.
They loved it. They kept asking him for more of that Wild Turkey bourbon, and he ended up creating a brand around it. Ironically, the whiskey was sourced and non-distiller produced.
Yeah.
Until 1971 when Austin Nichols bought the main distillery that they were getting the whiskey from.
Good move on his part.
Yeah,
It worked out well.
Exactly. You know, what's interesting about that is that That's how my brand started. The Prideful Goat.
You on a goat hunting trip?
Well, no.
Hey, give me some more of that Prideful Goat.
Not that part of the story, but I'm just saying
That would've been
we're
awesome.
sourcing good whiskey. We have some good barrels. We let some people try them. They love it. And they're like, oh my God, can I get some more of that? And who knows? Maybe one day the Prideful Goat could be a household name the way that Wild Turkey is.
I have all the faith in the world.
But it's ironic to say that because every major whiskey brand has had its major struggles and ups and downs. And if you sign up to create the next household name whiskey, you are going to go through some dark times. And Wild Turkey was no exception.
Yeah.
So they went through the bourbon dark ages, and that was where all of their projections were off of how much whiskey they needed to make for the future. Because keep in mind, Wild Turkey products at that time were 6, 7, 8 years old, and they're trying to predict how much whiskey they're going to sell in 8 years. They needed to make that amount today so that they have it ready after it's aged, and they kept overestimating. So they had this glut of whiskey. And they were kind of kept afloat by a new market in Japan.
Yeah.
And Japanese demand was through the roof.
Which is a really fun find if you're a Wild Turkey fan, get your hands on some Japanese Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Because to this day, Wild Turkey still caters to
Yeah.
that audience. And
Yeah.
they have special releases in Japan that they don't allow us to buy here in the United States.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Another interesting tidbit about Wild Turkey is one of their main markets is Japan, but they are an Italian-owned company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're owned by Campari.
Okay.
That makes that bitter.
Campari Group? Is that what it's called? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they make that bitter aperitif.
Yeah.
That a lot of people use in cocktails, and they acquired the brand years ago. So let's talk about some bottle details.
Okay.
The distillery obviously is Wild Turkey. The SKU is Wild Turkey 101. It is a non-age stated product, but it is rumored to be 6 to 8 years old. The barrels that go into the batches.
Some of those Japanese get up there around 12.
Yeah, so
pretty cool.
they still have age-stated versions of this whiskey in Japan that are 8 years, and they have one that's a 12-year-old whiskey. So if you know anybody traveling there, wouldn't be a bad idea to try and grab some of that.
So let's talk price, because that's what this episode's all about, right? Bottom shelf bangers. What is the price on this 101 proof delicious whiskey?
$101 million. Just kidding.
Dang, that is not a banger.
$19.99.
Okay,
Yes.
that is a banger.
And that is for the 750 ml.
Yep.
If you get the big
Big
boy, 1.75, the price for that size goes down even lower.
Wow.
So that's good.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm testing my new whiskey glass that I had designed.
Why?
Well, there's a company out there that's a real Cairn, and she threatened to sue us.
Really? You don't say.
Yeah, so we had been producing some traditional tulip-shaped whiskey glasses.
Oh, yes.
We never used the name,
Right, of course.
but they claimed to own the shape of the glass. And since I'm just a little guy, I couldn't fight.
Right.
But do you know what that motivated us to do, Wes?
What?
To go out and design a glass that was actually made for high-proof American spirits. So the company that had the problem with us, their glass was originally designed for low-proof Scotch whiskey.
Oh, okay.
80, 86 proof, that type of thing. And you know what I had noticed? Every time I would nose a really high-proof, high-quality spirit in the United States out of this glass, all I got was ethanol burn.
Yeah, a little burn there. I felt that.
And so we went out and we designed this glass that's actually designed for those higher proof spirits. And I'm so confident in this glass that if anybody were to go to our website and buy one, I'm offering a money-back guarantee.
Wow.
If you get that glass to your house and you find yourself one of these traditional tulip-shaped glasses and you nose a high-proof spirit side by side and you can't tell the difference, I will gladly give you your money back.
So what you're saying is they can really stick it to the Cairn and support the little guy by going to bourbonrealtalk.com and ordering one of these with absolutely no risk. They could get their money back if they don't prefer it nosing it to the other.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you love small business and you like sticking it to Cairns, that's the way to go.
Stick it to Cairn. bourbonrealtalk.com.
Cheers. So Wild Turkey, very familiar flavor for me.
A little bit of that medicinal cherry for me.
I get a little bit of that cherry note. And I do get a hint of a peanut note with a little bit of the bitterness from the red peanut skin. And that's how I identify wild turkey. If you give me wild turkey in a blind and I'm able to identify it, some people taste something they call turkey funk.
Ooh,
and
turkey
I
funk.
don't taste that. Okay, but some people you could just walk by with a glass of wild turkey and they go, that's wild turkey, because there's this thing that they taste or smell. I don't have that thing.
I don't have that thing.
To identify it, I get that cherry note and I get the peanut note, specifically the bitter red peanut skin. And I get very little to no smoke. And so when I'm thinking about profiles, like 1792 is like a smoke, a cherry, and a banana.
Yeah.
When I taste Four Roses, I get a cherry and a smoke with no banana and no peanut, right?
Floral.
So, and floral. So if I'm getting cherry and I'm getting a slight peanut note.
I don't get the wild turkey funk either, but it does remind me of a song. Wild turkey funk you up. Wild turkey
funk you up.
Yeah.
Wild turkey funk you up. Wild turkey funk you up.
All right, so that's a freebie for you.
Free, yeah. No
you
extra
don't even
charge.
have to be on the Patreon to get that.
Yeah,
that's
that was just
right there.
that was just
that's
bonus.
the type of goodness
Boom.
you could get more of.
You could, maybe. We don't
if you
know.
wanted to support the channel in that way.
If you
But
wanted to, yeah.
I think we should just give some away. And that's always the best bet. We can think what we think all we want, but let's let them decide. Do you want to get down with that wild turkey funk you up or not?
Sure. Do you have any favorite wild turkey stories?
Ooh.
I'll start. You think while I tell my
Let me think, because I've got a lot of wild turkey stories.
Yes.
Some of them are not appropriate.
Some are
from my college days.
Yeah, not safe for the podcast. So my favorite wild turkey story is I got the chance to meet Eddie Russell.
This is one of my favorite stories,
I was doing a single barrel selection in a large group of people, and I will admit that I was wrong. The thing I thought I was tasting, I was not tasting. Okay. So I was earlier on in my whiskey journey, and I had noticed that there was a familiar flavor that I would get on Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
And Jack Daniels is bananas and peanuts.
Yeah.
Okay. Or a nutty flavor, right? But I get peanuts, bananas and peanuts. And we were trying to pick a Russell's Reserve. He gets out a fourth sample that is actually a Kentucky Spirit. Based on the proof, they weren't able to bottle it as a Russell's Reserve because it wasn't going to be 110. And so we tasted it, and somebody asked me with Eddie in the room, what do you think? And I was like, I don't like it. And he was like, why not? And at the time, like, a lot of people were making jokes about me tasting banana and whiskey.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you taste banana? My friend says real loud, do you taste banana? And I was like, yeah. And Eddie Russell heard him. And he's like, wait, who tastes banana in my whiskey? And I was like, I do, sir.
This guy.
And he was like, this isn't Jack Daniels. Somebody get this guy out of here.
Oh, man.
And so he said as a joke.
Bourbon Royalty just totally.
Just roasted me. And of course, everyone laughed at me, as they should have.
Yeah.
It turns out that the familiar note that I was detecting was a familiarity of the nuttiness and not the banana flavor.
Okay.
And I was confusing the two. My palate wasn't quite as developed at that time. But anyway, Eddie Russell hates me because I said that his whiskey had a flaw, and he did not like that.
Hey, Eddie, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are.
Of course.
This channel. Give this guy another chance. Let's get in there. Let's taste it.
I love you. I love your whole family.
We love everything about what you do over there.
It's so true.
I do.
Hey, tell them about your 102.
That's what I'm saying. I do have a wild turkey story, actually. So some friends of mine and I are about to launch sometime in the future a Wild Turkey 102. I'm still waiting on the Russells to get back with us on a few details, but so be on the lookout. It won't be bottom shelf for sure. It'll be like at the toppest shelf there is.
Do you know why? Because it's one better.
It's one better.
It's one better.
There's the 101 down here, and then
there's 102,
and that's where the players play.
That's where
that's where the gangsters hang.
It's one better.
Yeah. So if you are a real enthusiast of the whiskey genre, you'll definitely want to get your hands on some Wild Turkey 102 coming to a store near you sometime in the future.
All right, we're gonna let that be your Wild Turkey story, unless you've got something else.
That was it. That was
Perfect.
my best Wild Turkey story ever.
Yeah, he made that up one time on the fly on camera, and I was like, I hope we don't get in trouble. Yeah, no,
Again,
it's
it's just in the works.
It's just for funsies.
It's just in the works.
Just for funsies.
But I don't count it out.
Yeah. Who knows?
Jimmy or Eddie may watch this video and they'll be like, "That's a great
"That's a
idea."
dang good
And now
idea.
we got to give this guy all the credit. And so it'll be like a turkey and then me on the front, and it'll just kind of be a fun little thing.
Yeah, or like they combine the turkey beard with your beard.
Yeah, the turkey's beard will be my beard.
Yeah,
and
that's a good
then,
idea. That's good ideas all the way around.
It's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I think we should give away some whiskey today, and not just this.
No,
because Wild Turkey has a ton of great stuff.
They sure do. So
what should we do?
Well, I have a number of harder to find versions of this whiskey that are higher ages and special releases. So we're going to do 5 winners, 1 ounce sample pack. So you're going to get a Russell's Reserve 13,
okay,
a Wild Turkey Rare Breed non-chill filtered. So
I love that stuff.
That was a special release that was mostly duty-free shops. And then I'm going to give you a sample of the Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit single barrel that I embarrassed myself while picking with Eddie Russell. And of course, the Wild Turkey 101, so that you can try them all side by side and see how the different treatments of this same liquid produces different tasting whiskey.
So this was a bottom shelf banger episode with an absolute banger sample pack going out to one of you guys. And
every sample pack we do is a banger.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you how you can enter to win this sample pack in particular, okay? You want to do a couple things right here from where you're at on this screen. You want to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. You need to ring the bell because we do a giveaway on every episode. So you'd be crazy not to want to get involved in all that. So go ahead and ring the bell while you're at it. You want to fill out the form that you'll find the link to in the description. It's a Google form, very simple, just name, info, so we can send you your samples if you win. But also, that's what we're going to use to run our randomizer to see if you are our lucky winner. So we'll send you the samples absolutely free as always, and it's a great way to not only support the channel, but maybe get some freebies in the mix. So, well, how else can they support the channel?
Well, probably the best way, we mentioned it earlier, we do have a Patreon, and we have a Patreon level for all budgets. So if you're thinking like, money's tight, go check it out. We've got some, very affordable options. The member benefits are amazing. It's not a one-way street. We are giving back. We have bonus content and special offers, distillery takeovers, which are my favorite. So there's these kind of curated whiskey trips. We usually do a single barrel selection while we're there. We do offer the single barrel picks back to the community. So far, everybody at every level that's wanted to get a bottle of anything has been able to do so.
Yeah.
We've been able to thread the needle each time. We do in-person meetups as I travel. We also have monthly virtual bottle shares where we get online and hang out. There's discounts on the merchandise. And of course, you get the satisfaction of knowing you support the channel and its mission.
For sure.
Connection, suicide prevention, all the stuff that we're working on.
Yeah.
You can also support us by checking out our merch site at bourbonrealtalk.com.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the holiday season, folks. All right. It's the time to be thinking about those other people in your life who you are trying to, they're tough to buy for. They've got all the whiskey, they've got all the stuff, you don't know what to get. Go over to bourbonrealtalk.com. We've got all the fun little accessories that they would love to have. Maybe it's a high proof spirits whiskey tasting glass that's designed specifically custom made from Randy right here for those high proof spirits. Or maybe it's a bottle carrying bag or an aroma kit, or there's tons of merch there designed by whiskey lovers for the whiskey lovers. So go over to bourbonrealtalk.com, get a head start on that holiday shopping, and pick out some cool stuff.
Yeah, and it's a bit unconventional, but this channel's always been subsidized by my real estate business. I am a residential real estate agent in both the Dallas and Houston metro areas. So if you need services in either of those markets, I'd love to interview for the job. I will warn you, though, that if you hire me and we close a deal, I give epic bottles as closing gifts.
Dude, and they are epic.
Yeah, we've given away pretty much all the things you're thinking
all
of.
the cool things.
Right now.
Not just Wild Turkey 101. Although if you did want one, he'd probably get you a pallet of them.
Yeah, there have been some individuals that could have gotten a pallet with their budget that they had.
A tanker.
Yeah, well, maybe not a tanker. That's 6,000 gallons. But, I did the math one time. There was somebody that could have gotten like 200 and something bottles of Benchmark or something.
My gosh.
Yeah, it would have been nuts.
Well, if you are first time tuning in, Randy wants to share the show philosophy with you guys. You've heard us talk a lot about what this show's all about. It is all about connection. And so let's tell the folks what we are really here for. It's not just the whiskey.
Yeah, it's not just the whiskey. Whiskey's just kind of the catalyst that creates connection, and that's really all it's good for. I mean, if you If you just want to imbibe alcohol for its physical effects, you can drink vodka, right? But we find that whiskey can be a catalyst to create connection and community. And that's something that's important to me because I lost a loved one to suicide. And he was missing some of those social connections whenever he made that decision. And I was looking for ways to help create connection for individuals that might need support. And I saw how whiskey was bringing people together. And so I thought maybe if I got you connected to whiskey could do the rest of the job and get you connected to others. And we have been successful in that endeavor. In fact, we ended up starting Bourbon Real Talk Community, which is a free Facebook-based whiskey enthusiast forum.
A ton of folks on there.
A ton of folks, over 30,000 as of the time of this filming. Lots of great positive things going on. Yeah. Sharing, caring, coming together, in-person meetups, connection, all that stuff. We're able to parlay that into a suicide prevention nonprofit called livestayproject.org. And we do a lot of work there. All the administration of that is all done through the whiskey enthusiast community. And it's great to be able to do all of that stuff. And we did need to kind of create our own platform to make all of that happen because there is some negativity out there online in the enthusiast world. Yeah. And we call those people trolls, and they can be hateful to strangers online, which is the opposite of what we think creates community and connection. Mm-hmm. And so they taught us, though, that if they can be hateful online to a stranger, there's nothing that keeps us from loving a stranger online. Mm-hmm. And that's why we end every episode the same way, and that's this. If you woke up this morning and you're unsure whether or not anyone loved you, just know that we love you. We'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk. Cheers. Cheers. Welcome back to Pretentious Whiskey Reviews. Today, we're evaluating the 1982 Pappy Van Winkle. Ooh. I'm detecting a hint of Bolivian virgin tears and East Indian, no, West Indian grasses.
Y'all, you don't need all that crap. All you need is an American Whiskey Aroma Kit from bourbonrealtalk.com. Developing your palate is a learned skill. Over time, you can train your taste buds without being a douchebag. Get yours today at bourbonrealtalk.com.
I'm also getting Indian nutmeg.